is a super random video today, but I just wanted to come on here and talk briefly about our experience with cat bruxism, aka our cat grinding his teeth. Vinny is our first cat that we've had that was like a born and raised house cat. And he was adopted, but his like former home, there he is now. Come here, boy. His former home he was an inside cat there too. So this is a whole different ball game than any cat I've ever owned before. He's weird. He's different. I'm going to pick him up. Come here. This is him. He hates being held, so that'll be that. Anyway, so Vinny is just weird. He's got weird habits, weird behavior, weird quirks, because, you know, he's been inside all of his life, and I feel like that kind of makes the cat into a different type of person. But that's not what we're here to talk about. So we've had him for almost 3 years now, and he's always done this kind of like sound with his mouth. He's done it usually while he's eating or like right when he's finished eating. And we always just called it mounchin'. He's mounchin'. It's funny, it's weird. Like, I figured he had like food on the roof of his mouth and he was just kind of like trying to get it off or something, you know? So he always just kind of mounched when he ate. And a few months ago, we realized he was doing it a lot. He was doing it like any random moment. He would just be sitting there and start going, and I'm like, you're freaking weird, whatever. And after probably a couple of months of that, I decided to Google it, like, cat is chewing when he's not eating, or something to that effect. And that took me to the world of feline bruxism. And I didn't realize this was a thing, but apparently it can be indicative of a problem. So the cat might be mouching in order to relieve some kind of pain or pressure that they're feeling in their mouth. So I decided to make an appointment to take him to the vet. And we tried a new vet. We tried it's a fear-free clinic, which I hadn't ever been to one of those before. When we took him, they gave him a brief little examination. Now, since it is fear-free, they didn't want to force anything or pry too much. They just did a little quick look. And they said, oh, well, he's got a broken tooth. And I'm like, well, that explains that. Wonderful. And so we scheduled dental and extraction. And after a couple weeks, you know, and this whole time I'm like, my poor baby, he's hurting. He has a broken tooth and he's still munching. And anyway, so finally 2 weeks pass and we take him in and they get him under, and then they discover that he didn't have a broken tooth, that it was just buildup. It was just a dirty tooth and it made it look like it was broken. I mean, it's whatever, like it was still good because he still needed a dental, but I can't help but think, since they're fear-free and they weren't like really just opening his mouth and just really looking, that they didn't know that the tooth wasn't actually broken. Anyway, no harm done. He still needed a dental. So he got his teeth cleaned and everything. And he came home. Oh yeah, he came home with some complications, but I'm not going to get into that. But his mouth was clean, like, and he seemed to be better. Well, soon enough, he just started munching again. And he still munches now. Random times, anytime, any reason, like, he just sits there and goes. So, I'm sure that the dental was worth it because, you know, we all need to brush our teeth every once in a while. But it's just like, I wanted to give our story of cat teeth grinding, because when you Google it, it just shows like all these terrible scenarios. Like, it just says like the worst. It says, call the vet immediately, blah, 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 blah. So I wanted to share our story. Our story is that our cat is just weird and just does weird stuff with his mouth. And nothing is wrong in there. Now, if anyone has any 2 cents you want to give in this area, please do. But I just kind of wanted to get our story out there because it was bruxism that didn't mean anything bad. So it was basically no reason to be worried, no reason to fear. Not saying you shouldn't get your cat checked out or anything, but I'm just saying, like, you don't have to jump to the worst conclusion. And I did see a couple other cases where people were saying, like, oh, well, my vet just says that my cat just does that. And turns out that's probably a true story because that's what our cat is doing. And that's the long and the short of it. I've never said that before. That's the story. Vinny is doing fine. He's acting normal like he always was in the first place, except that he just mounches his teeth. And if that ever changes, if anything more ever comes out of this, I will follow up. But I, for one, just have a cat who grinds his teeth for no reason.